Hello everyone. So let me welcome you to this ethics course going to start very soon. We'll answer in this short slide the three aspects to this course: why, what, and how. So let's just begin. So as you all know, this paper comprises of 250 marks out of a total 1750 of mains and interview, right? So you can understand it occupies a substantial chunk, and as we'll see, it's relatively easier to score in the paper provided you study it systematically, right? There are various myths uh, in the students around this paper. So some of the myths are: this paper is just about the answer writing part. Some students think that you can just go into the exam and write down whatever you feel, because most of the things one assesses that he or she knows. However, once you get through all the past year papers, then you can analyze that it's not always easy, and definitely not up to the expected lines of UPSC if you have not studied the paper systematically. Also, few students think that this paper is just about case studies. As you can see, in every year paper, past 8 year papers, there is 130 marks of theory and 120 marks of case studies, and these case studies have a direct application of this theory, right? So one needs to have an optimized balance of this theory and case studies, right? Besides, people think that it's about emotional writing. What one thinks, what one feels should be written in this paper. However, I would like to differ, and you'll see in the course that this paper is about the objectivity, right? Objectivity. Once you have the various tools and techniques, the theoretical background, and a sound conceptual understanding of the various terms and concepts in the paper, you can actually harness those to write a better answer, right? This is one of the papers which is highly thought and application based. This is a paper wherein uh, you have to study a smaller chunk, but its application is humongous, right? So as we'll do the course, we'll see through various question answer discussions how a particular theory is being applied in various situations, even in the life of the public servant and for an individual per se, right? Next point is why this paper is important to be studied, because if you talk to your seniors, the score varies somewhere generally from 60 out of 250 to 140. So you can see that even in one paper, if you do it like really in a good and systematic and rigorous way, then you can get an edge of 70 to 80 marks in one paper only, and you may realize its importance once you get through your mains, and even in your interviews it helps, right? So we'll see its application. And one thing more I'd like to touch upon here, that I have been getting queries from various mains qualified students who have not been somehow able to score good in ethics paper, and that's why they could not get through finally, even though they have done quite well in other optional papers and everything. But because of the nature of the paper, because of the lack of resources, and because of a comprehensive set of guidelines, they somehow don't know what is expected out of you in this paper, right? So this paper from that point of view becomes very important. Similarly, as I said, there's a lack of holistic material. There's simply no book in the market which covers the paper from end to end. And generally, the diversified guidelines and opinions one gets through from various peers, that also varies. But I'd like to share in this course whatever personal experiences I've had with UPSC, scoring the highest marks in this paper, and obviously teaching and having taught aspirants for the last 7 years, right? So I think you can trust that whatever will be said would definitely be beneficial for you to score good in this paper. uh, this paper has a very deep and widespread influence on your selection and your life as such, right? So this paper, ethics, we are generally taught about the differentiation between right and wrong, why something is right, why something is wrong. We basically study various theories, various aspects to a particular course of action, why a decision is being made, what all components like values, emotional intelligence, attitude, right? Various thinkers, philosophy, psychology, things going around while making a decision, and its application in the issues and conflicts faced in the day-to-day life gives it a great application base, right? So it not only determines your selection in UPSC, but generally it gives you a perspective towards life as well, right? So like in GS paper 1, 2, 3, you get to know about the historical dimension, the sociological dimension, the economic dimension, the geographical dimension. This particular paper is about the ethical dimension to the issue. Excuse me. So any kind of issue, be it capital punishment, be it surrogacy, be it any kind of ethical issue, this particular paper will help you to decide, or the governance related issue, this particular paper will help you to gauge the ethical aspect to all these issues, and the conflicts when one uh, goes about deciding one particular course of action, right? So based upon all these parameters, this why of this paper I think becomes very important, right? Next we come to the what. What is ethics as such, right? So this paper, as all of us know, is ethics for civil services, right? So here, first of all, we'll study it very systematically. Right from day one, we'll start with orientation and then introduction. We'll go from the basic concepts to the complex ones, along with solving questions, definitely. That I'll come to the how part. But first of all, what is ethics, right? So ethics is, actually, people tend to confuse it with some related terms like laws, like rules, like religion, like conscience, morality, values. However, we'll see that ethics is neither of these, right? So ethics is what? Right? So we'll get to know the relation between these terms, and finally we'll come to boil down to one of generally accepted definition of ethics, which would be it's a systematic study of rightness or wrongness of an action to achieve the chief good, or as some of the books call it as summum bonum, right? That's a term used in philosophy. So summum bonum is the chief good the highest uh, ultimate objective of the life is summum bonum. And this particular paper, or you can say to acquire happiness or whatever, but this is the generally accepted definition, that it's a study of systematic study of rightness or wrongness, right? Very simple to say whether one particular action is right or wrong, but will when we study the whole thing systematically, then we come to understand the nitty-gritties and the various theoretical aspects, various thinkers, various philosophy, psychology, public ad associated with this particular paper, right? So another dimension is it's a branch of philosophy. Ethics is a branch of philosophy. Philosophy has basically largely four parts: epistemology, metaphysics, logic, and ethics, right? So ethics, don't worry, we'll do all of this in the course. I'm just giving you a glimpse of it, like what ethics is all about, right? So ethics is just a domain, one branch of philosophy. So it borrows a lot from philosophy. However, as you have seen, this is ethics for civil services, this particular paper. So we will see some component of philosophy, psychology, some sociology, some pabad aspect to it, right? As we go, we don't have to delve deeper into the concepts of public administration, but yes, we'll need to borrow some things from there to understand and relate to ethics in governance part, right? So similarly, in attitude part, we'll borrow things from psychology, and in the theorist part, we'll borrow things from philosophy. So this is a happy amalgamation of various subjects. Apart from that, obviously, general studies is a prime component of this paper, right? So this, as I'll come to the next point, you'll see that this has a huge influence. This paper draws inputs from various sources, like I said, philosophy, psychology, pabad, gs, and it influences your various other aspects. It influences your essay, it influences your general studies issues, right? It influences your answering in interview, right? So, and in general, in your life, right? So this has a widespread influence, this particular paper, right? Next point is, we will, in this particular course, as you get to see the syllabus, you'll know that we will actually start with knowing about what is ethics, some of its related terms, the various ethical theories associated with the course, which is hugely tested even in case studies like teleology, deontology, virtue ethics, principle of justice, contractarians, um, Gandhi, and feminist theory, right? So we'll see all of those. We'll study values and fundamental values. We'll study about attitude, its inculcation, its influence, its relation with behavior, right? We'll study about emotional intelligence, and all of these four, five things would have its huge influence in ethics in governance, right? And application of all these concepts will shall be tested through the case studies, right? So when we come to case studies, all of these things which we have studied in the first part will have huge role to play in answering case studies questions. So we'll see the whole structure, how to go about a case, how to understand what is expected of you, right? It's not like you are beating around the bush and writing or filling up the spaces, but it's more about, as I said, objective writing, right? Knowing what you have to write and knowing directly to the point, right? And this particular course, this particular ethics thing that helps you, if you see the syllabus, two terms are used: issues and conflicts, right? So conflicts could be from personal, professional, and social, right? So whenever these three interests, right, whenever they collide, right, like personal or professional interest collide, right, a conflict is bound to take place, right? So ethics helps you there in deciding how to go about it. Similarly, issues of child, issues of caste, issues of gender, right, issue of migration, issue of politicization of bureaucracy, all of that has an ethical dimension to it, and more often than not they are being tested in the paper, right? And these are explicitly mentioned in your syllabus also, and they have been asking it every year almost. Next, we come to the how of the course, how we are going to tackle all of this. Our aim is to score good in this paper, and for that, we need to systematically go from the basic to the advanced concept, right? It's not just about, as I said, case study. We will be studying some theory, and then we'll be applying it. We'll keep on studying some theory and then applying it into the questions which have been asked the last 8 years question, and probably this year mains is going to happen, so we'll take up that questions as well, right? So you'll see for yourself that how the classes are helping you to answer these questions, right? So we'll have some special classes on case studies, applied ethics like all the ethical debates and conflicts and issues like euthanasia, like capital punishment, like sterilization, like cyber ethics, media ethics, environmental ethics, international ethics. We'll be dealing it separately. There is a report of ARC in governance, the fourth report, that also shall be dealt in the course. I'll be telling you about the answer writing and what UPSC expects you generally, right? So that you have a fair amount of idea how to go about it, how to write, where to start, where to stop. And this particular paper, trust me, most of the people are not able to complete this paper, so you need to know the strategy beforehand, right? Uh, how to attempt this paper in examinations, where to draw the line, that's very important, right? So that you get through a systematic study from somewhere. So we'll be having the course through Zoom platform, 2 hours, 4 days a week, and we'll be discussing the 9 years, 9 years including the coming this year 2021 mains. So 9 years UPSC questions will be discussed during the class. So I hope this is useful for you and will help you decide whether to opt for this course or not. Any questions, I'd be happy to answer. All the best. Hope to see you soon. Thank you.